The village of Ojomba had always been a place of balance. Nestled between the emerald arms of the Kwara Hills and the golden sweep of the Senro Plains, it thrived in harmony with the earth. The soil was generous, the rains came when needed, and the animals of the forest stayed respectfully at the edge of human life. But peace, like a mango left too long on the tree, can rot quietly from the inside. It began with the yams. They twisted in the ground, blackened and swollen. Then goats started bleating at night and disappearing by dawn. Chickens laid no eggs. A child saw a snake in his mother's cooking pot. The village priest claimed it was a coincidence, but even he stopped eating his own stew. Soon, whispers floated like wine through tall grass. The land is cursed. Someone brought a shadow with them. The gods are angry. It was then that Lemia appeared. She came as if from the mist itself, walking barefoot down the dusty path from the hills, with a single sack over her shoulder and a faraway look in her eyes. Her beauty was unlike anything the villagers had seen. Her skin shimmered like river stone, her eyes sparkled with emerald glints, and her voice was soft enough to hush an angry fire. "I am from Muzi village," she said. "It was burned down by raiders. I escaped through the hills. Please. I seek only peace." Chief Odin, old and wrinkled like the bark of a baobab, eyed her carefully. But compassion still lived in his weathered bones. "Ojomba is a place of refuge," he said. "You will have a place to sleep and a meal to eat." The villagers welcomed her with a cautious kindness. But Tari, the hunter, welcomed her with his heart. Tari was no fool, but he was a romantic. A broad-shouldered man with a kind face and an arrow that never missed, he lived alone at the edge of the forest, closer to beasts than to people. When he saw Lemia, something stirred in him, not just desire, but a sense of purpose, as if the stars had drawn a line from her footsteps to his soul. She smiled at him once during market day, and that was enough. Within a moon cycle, they were married. The wedding was small but filled with song. Lemia wore white cloth and gold beads, and the women sang a song older than any of them, one of union and faith. Tari, overwhelmed, cried during the vows. And still, the crops failed. And still, the goats vanished. And still, the air felt heavier. Lemia, now the most beautiful wife in the village, began spending more time alone, wandering the outskirts of Ojomba in the evening, often barefoot, often humming a tune no one recognized. People noticed. People always notice. Why does she never go to the river with the other women? She talks to the trees. I saw her, she whispers to them. Tari's hunting luck has turned too. Ever since he married her, the forest no longer welcomes him. Even Grandmother No, the oldest in Ojomba, muttered, "Beauty like that is either a blessing or a warning." Never both. But Tari. He was in love. And love, as every tale will tell you, is either a sword or a blindfold. One night, the elders met in secret. 5 men with grey in their hair and history in their hearts. "The signs are all here," said Elder Kinto. "Crops dying. Animals gone. The land is rejecting us. This has happened before." The room went still. Even the oil lamp flickered in fear. "You mean the prophecy?" Odin asked slowly. Kinto nodded. "The Serpent Queen's return. It's written in the old scrolls. She will come as a flame, beautiful and lost. She will claim a home in a heart, then a crown in blood. And when she wears her scales again, the land will drown in shadows unless she is stopped." No one spoke for a long time. Then Odin asked the question that danced like fireflies on all their tongues. "Do you believe Lemia is the Serpent Queen?" "I do not know," said Kinto. "But I feel the hills watching us. I feel the soil recoiling. Something has entered Ojomba. And it wears a woman's skin." Meanwhile, Tari was watching his wife from the window. She was in the yard, her back to him, standing under the moonlight in complete stillness. No movement, no hum. Just stillness. Then, a whisper. Her voice. But not a word he recognized. It was ancient. Serpentine. He felt a chill run through his spine. The next morning, old Moku, the village seer, arrived at Tari's hut. I had a dream last night, he said, his blind eyes fixed on something beyond the world. A green flame. A hunter chasing a serpent. The serpent wore a crown made of bones. Tari frowned. What does that mean? Moku took his hand. It means your love may not be what it seems. Watch her, boy. Not with your eyes, but with your spirit. If the mountain shivers in sunlight, don't wait for the rain. He left without another word. As the days turned into weeks, Ojamba grew quieter. People stayed indoors at night. The village well dried up, and frogs sang mournfully in the evening. Even children stopped playing near the trees. Tari tried to ignore it. To believe in Lamia. She cooked, laughed, loved him like a devoted wife. But every time he woke at midnight, she wasn't beside him. And every morning she was there again, fast asleep, her skin strangely cold. One night, he followed her. She didn't notice. Her footsteps were as silent as moonlight. Through the trees she walked, deeper and deeper into the forest, until she reached a clearing Tari had never seen. In the center was a circle of stones, and in the middle, a shrine. Overgrown. Forgotten. She knelt before it and whispered again in that ancient tongue. Her arms shimmered faintly. For a second, just a second, Tari thought he saw scales. He stumbled back and stepped on a twig. She turned. Their eyes met. She didn't speak. Neither did he. Then slowly, almost regretfully, she said. Now you know. The dreams began the very night Tari caught Lamia at the edge of the forest. They weren't like normal dreams. They didn't drift in gently or come with the usual nonsensical riddles of the sleeping mind. These dreams hissed. They pulsed with rhythm, like drums beneath the earth. In the darkness of his sleep, Tari saw it clearly. A shrine of gold and stone, half swallowed by the jungle, its walls cracked with vines. Coiled around it, larger than anything known to man, was a serpent, scales dark as midnight and eyes like burning emeralds. The serpent's mouth opened, and from it came a sound not made for human ears. Yet somehow, it whispered. Tari. He would always wake sweating, heart pounding, lips dry. Lamia, as usual, would be gone. By day, Lamia was soft-spoken and sweet. She brought him meals, smiled at the neighbors, and touched his face like nothing in the world was wrong. But her eyes, oh, her eyes. They had changed. They no longer glowed with curiosity. They washed. Tari tried to reason with himself. She's grieving, he muttered. She lost her home. She's adapting. But even his hunting had changed. The animals no longer showed themselves. Birds flew away as soon as they heard his footsteps, and once, he found a rabbit lying in his trap, already dead, but with no wound. Just still. Still as a statue. He couldn't help but think of Lamia's stillness under the moonlight. A week after the first dream, Tari went to visit old Moku, the village seer. The old man was sitting under his usual fig tree, sipping something that smelled like it could knock a lion out cold. You've come, Moku said, before Tari even opened his mouth. You knew I would. I see things, boy. Things the earth tries to hide. The air around you smells like destiny, and snake scales. Tari Saturday, she's not who she said she was, is she? Moku sighed. Tell me what you've seen. So Tari told him. The dreams. The shrine. The voice. The glowing eyes. The absence. The cold skin. Everything. Moku nodded gravely. There was once a queen, he began, so powerful, even thunder would wait for her to speak. She ruled the Serpent Kingdom, deep in the hidden places of the world. Serpent Kingdom. Tari echoed, half expecting the old man to cackle. But Moko didn't laugh. She wore a crown forged from the bones of fallen stars. Her name was not Ima, though the villagers called her Queen of the Coiled Flame. But power is never without a price. The other serpents grew jealous of her strength and claimed she had broken the ancient laws. What laws? Moko waved his hand. The kind made in blood, not ink. They stripped her of her crown and cast her into the world of men. But before she vanished, she swore she would return. Not in war, but in love. The prophecy says, she shall enter a man's heart, and through it, the world shall burn or be reborn. Tari's throat tightened. You think Lamia is her? Moko tilted his head. Do you? Tari didn't answer. Because deep down, he didn't want to know. That night, Tari pretended to sleep. Lamia lay beside him, breathing softly. When the moonlight crept across the floor, she stirred. Silently, she slipped from the bed, wrapped herself in her shawl, and walked out the door like a ghost. Tari waited a moment, then followed. She moved faster than usual, as if the night had lit a fire beneath her feet. He trailed her through thickets and over streams, deeper into the jungle than he'd ever dared to hunt. Then, he saw it. The shrine. Just like the dream. It sat in a clearing, massive and ancient, its stones carved with symbols that flickered green under moonlight. Moss clung to it like memory. And in front of it stood Lamia. She raised her hands, chanting in that same strange tongue, old, melodic, and dangerous. Her voice echoed through the trees. The ground hummed beneath his feet. Then it happened. Her skin shimmered. Not fully, but enough. Scales. Green and gold. Slithering just beneath the surface. Tari's breath caught in his throat. This wasn't a dream. He backed away, slowly, carefully, and returned to the village. He didn't sleep that night. He just sat on his porch, staring into nothing, hearing the voice from his dreams. Tari. But now, it wasn't a whisper. It was a call. The next morning, he sat across from Lamia at breakfast. She smiled, as usual. But he could see the cracks now. Her hands were trembling. Her eyes avoided his. Did you go for a walk last night? He asked. She looked up. No. He nodded. Must have been dreaming again. She gave a faint smile. Yes, dreams. By the third night, he returned to the shrine. Alone. The chanting was gone. Lamia was not there. But something else was waiting, a statue in the shape of a serpent, wearing a cracked, jewel-encrusted crown. Its eyes were hollow. Carved beneath it in ancient script, the kind even Moko wouldn't read, were the words. Through love, I return. Through betrayal, I ascend. As Tari stood there, a strange breeze moved through the shrine. He thought he heard her voice again. But this time, it was sad. I didn't choose this. But I must finish it. Back in Ojomba, the elders were growing restless. The ground was drier. A child had gone missing. Trees near the village shed their leaves overnight, and it wasn't even harvest season. Old Moko walked through the village shouting, "She is among us. The queen in the shape of a woman. And love shall be the knife or the key." People started locking their doors at night. Others watched Lamia wherever she went. And Tari. He stood at the center of a storm, holding a heart split between love and fear. Because now he knew the truth. He didn't marry a woman. He married a question. And the answer could save. Or doom them all. The village of Ojomba was no longer whispering. It was buzzing with fear, suspicion, and the metallic scent of something ancient rising from the soil. Crops had withered into dry husks. A thunderstorm passed the village without shedding a single drop. The people no longer slept with ease. An old Moko had had enough. He stood in the village square that morning, holding a bundle wrapped in dark red cloth. His voice, though raspy with age, rang like a bell across the crowd. The gods have sent us a gift. And a warning. One by one, he unwrapped sacred talismans, smooth black stones inscribed with silver symbols that shimmered faintly, even in the sun. These were carved from the bones of the first seer, blessed by fire, tested in water, and left beneath the soil until the earth marked them. Each man will take one. Tonight, place it on your wife's palm. If she is of flesh, nothing will happen. But if she is other. He paused. The silence was a wound waiting to bleed. Her true form will be revealed. Gasps fluttered across the crowd. If the talisman unmasks your wife as a creature, you must cast her out, or throw the talisman upon her heart. It will bind her spirit and prevent destruction. The men exchanged uneasy glances. No one wanted to believe the stories. But the skies had turned red during sunrise. The trees had started shedding their bark. The old stories were no longer stories, they were instructions. Tari took his talisman silently. It felt warm in his hand. Almost like it knew what it was about to do. He walked home as if every step carried a question. The wind was still. The birds had gone quiet. Even the insects held their breath. Lemia was in the kitchen, humming softly as she stirred a pot of soup. Her smile was warm. Too warm. "You're quiet today," she said, brushing his arm. "Long day," Tari replied, placing the talisman carefully in his pocket. Dinner was silent. The air between them had changed, thick, like syrup and secrets. That night, as she lay curled beside him, he reached into his pocket and held the talisman. "Just do it." His thoughts were screaming. His hand trembled. Slowly, gently, he placed the stone against her palm. For a moment, nothing. Then, her body tensed. Her back arched. Her eyes flew open, glowing an eerie green. The room pulsed with strange energy. Scales began to ripple across her skin like silver lightning across stormy clouds. And in the space between one breath and the next, Lemia was gone. In her place coiled a serpent, long, regal, terrifying and beautiful all at once. Eyes ancient, fangs sharp, but tears falling. Real, human tears. "Tari," she said, her voice echoing in the room like wind through stone, "please. Don't be afraid." He stood frozen, the talisman still in his hand. Every instinct screamed to throw it, end this, protect the village, save himself. But his heart. His cursed, loyal heart. "You lied to me," he whispered. "I hid myself," she corrected. "To survive." She slowly shifted, her body unraveling from its serpent form until she stood once more as the woman he loved, skin smooth, hair tumbling down her shoulders, but those same glowing eyes staring back. "My name is not Lemia. It's Nzina. I am the daughter of the serpent throne. The heir that was stolen, exiled, and cursed." Tari sat heavily on the bed, his head in his hands. "Why me?" Nzina knelt beside him. "Because only a bond freely given can unseal the shrine. The prophecy says I must be loved by a man not of my kind, hidden from the world, until the moon bleeds. That time is now." "You used me," he said bitterly. "I needed you. But I also loved you. Still do." The room crackled with silence. Nzina rose. "My crown lies within the serpent shrine, guarded by the curse that exiled me. Without it, I am nothing. I cannot return. I cannot end what began long ago." Tari looked up. "And if you get the crown?" Her expression darkened, but not with malice, with regret. Then I take my place as queen of both the Serpent realm and this one. I will make you king, Tari. You will stand beside me. No more hiding. No more death. And if I say no?" Her voice was almost a whisper. "Then the curse will grow. The village will die. And I will fade." Outside, clouds began to roll in. The moon, high and full, began to shift, its white light bleeding into red. The villagers saw it. They remembered the prophecy. And panic swept like wildfire. Tari paced the room for hours. The talisman lay on the floor, unmoving now. Lemia, no, Nzina, sat in silence, watching him with the stillness of someone who's lived 100 lives. "How can I trust you?" he asked at last. "Because I showed you what I am. I could have run. I could have attacked. But I stayed. You killed no one." She hesitated. "Only when seen. The cause demands secrecy. Any villager who saw me near the shrine. I couldn't let them warn others." He closed his eyes. "You want my help to break into the shrine? Steal the crown? Escape the curse? And make you king?" she added. He laughed bitterly. "What does a serpent's crown even look like?" Nzina's face lit up, just briefly, as if a memory kissed her cheek. "It glows. Like starlight wrapped in vines. It's not made of gold, but of memory. It bends to those who have bled for it." Tari shook his head. "You don't understand, Nzina. If I help you, I betray my people. If I don't, I betray you." She stepped forward, eyes filled with fire and sorrow. "Then betray both, but choose yourself." By sunrise, Ojomba was in a frenzy. Several men had cast out their wives. Some cried. Others raged. The air was full of curses and prayers. Moku gathered the elders and asked, "Which of you found the serpent?" No one spoke. Tari stood among them, the talisman burning in his pocket, his tongue locked behind walls of uncertainty. Nzina's words echoed in his head. "Then betray both, but choose yourself." And for the first time in his life, Tari didn't know who he was. Tari didn't know if he was walking toward destiny or doom. All he knew was this: he could not let Nzina walk that path alone. Before the first light of dawn touched the hills of Ojomba, the pair slipped away. The village still slept, unaware that its most ancient legend was on the move again, breathing, planning, returning. Nzina walked beside him in silence. Not as a queen. Not as a snake. But as a woman shedding centuries of secrets with every step. "Are you afraid?" she asked softly. "Only of not knowing who I am when this ends," Tari replied. She nodded. "Then we are both afraid." Their journey began through the Fenroot forest, where the trees were so dense, the sky disappeared. Here, the air was always damp, and the vines whispered like old women gossiping behind doors. Suddenly, a blur of motion, and a spirit guardian emerged. It was a creature of bone and bark, hollow-eyed, and 10 feet tall. It opened its mouth to scream, but no sound came. Instead, illusions spilled from its breath, shimmering figures of Tari's past, his late mother, the brother he lost in a hunting accident, his father's disappointed eyes. Tari stood frozen, the past pulling at his feet like quicksand. "Ignore them," Nzina warned. "They are only memories made flesh. They want your tears. Don't give them even one." Tari clenched his jaw and closed his eyes. He walked through the illusions. The spirit let him pass. The next challenge was a field of fire pits, ancient booby traps protecting the path to the shrine. When the wrong stone was stepped on, the ground erupted with flames in a burst of heat and smoke. "How do we cross?" Tari asked. Nzina touched the ground gently and whispered words that seemed to curl in the air like incense. "We step where truth hides." "What does that even?" She stepped forward, onto air. No ground. No stone. No support. But she stood, suspended, as if walking on memory itself. Truth is invisible, she said. But it always holds. Tari followed her, heart pounding with every invisible step. Behind them, the earth burned. As they crossed into the final stretch, the jungle changed. It was quiet. Too quiet. Nzina began to slow. Her face changed, not with fear, but with sorrow. This place is where my parents were banished. She knelt near a mossy stone. They disobeyed the serpent laws to protect me. They died, and I was cursed to wander as neither serpent nor human. Tari looked at her, really looked. Not as the queen. Not as the threat. But as Nzina, the girl who had lost everything. He reached out, placed his hand on hers. You don't have to carry it alone anymore. She didn't speak. But a single tear rolled down her cheek. This time, she let it fall. Back in Ojomba, dawn broke, and so did the illusion of safety. Nzina and Tari were gone. The shrine was glowing faintly in the far distance. Visible even from the village hilltops. A sign, the elder said. A warning. Chief Odin gathered the warriors. They go to wake what should remain sleeping. We end this before they succeed. Swords were drawn. Torches were lit. Ojomba marched to war. Nzina and Tari reached the shrine just as clouds began to gather overhead. The serpent shrine stood taller than it had in Tari's visions, pulsing with magic. The ancient serpent statue at the entrance had a crack running down its face, as if time itself had begun to split. They stepped into the shrine's heart, a massive underground chamber lined with gold, stone carvings, and a long platform that led to the crown. It floated in the air. No dust touched it. No time aged it. It glowed, softly, powerfully. Nzina's breath hitched. There it is. As she approached the crown, the entire shrine began to tremble. The storm outside exploded. Lightning danced through the sky like war drums cracking open the heavens. Nzina reached forward, and the crown descended onto her head as if drawn by fate. And then, she transformed. Not slowly. Not gently. But gloriously. Her skin shimmered with gold. Her eyes glowed like twin suns. Her body became serpentine, regal, terrifying, a creature of divine ancestry and ancient power. Yet, despite her terrifying majesty, she looked at Tari with love. I am whole again. Tari dropped to one knee. Nzina. But before he could finish, the shrine doors exploded open. Ojomba's warriors flooded in. Swords raised. Eyes wide in horror. Nzina turned slowly to face them, not with rage, but with sorrow. They won't understand, she whispered. Then let me try, Tari said, stepping forward. He took one breath. And the next moment would change everything. The night cracked open with thunder. In the heart of the jungle, the ancient serpent shrine pulsed with forgotten magic. Its stones glowed, the vines around it slithered like they remembered movement, and the air was thick with the scent of something eternal being reborn. And at the shrine's center stood Nzina, radiant and terrible. Her serpent form shimmered with golden light, coils of silver-white scales wrapped in power. At last, after centuries of exile, she had done it, the crown was hers again. It hovered just above her brow, spinning slowly in the air, pulsing with power like a second heartbeat. Tari stood beside her, panting, dirt-covered, wounded from the trials they had just endured to unseal the shrine. His chest rose and fell, but his eyes were locked on hers. It's done, she whispered. I am whole again. But the joy was short-lived. From the trees came the sound of marching. Warriors. Dozens of them, torches in hand, weapons drawn, their faces grim with purpose. Ojomba had come. Chief Odin, dressed in ceremonial robes, stepped forward. "Nzina," he bellowed. "Serpent, queen of lies. You are not welcome in our world." Nzina raised her head slowly, her voice calm and haunting. "I never wanted war. You brought war the moment you entered our hearts as a lie," Odin growled. Then, from behind the warriors, someone screamed, "Kill the beast. End the curse." The mob surged forward. Tari leapt between Nzina and the crowd, arms raised. "Stop. Please, listen. She doesn't want to harm us, she wants peace." The warriors paused, confused. One of them, a young man with hate in his eyes and fire in his blood, didn't. He held his spear. It flew like a vengeful arrow, a straight shot through the heart of fate. It struck Nzina, not with a wound, but with magic. She didn't bleed. She didn't cry. She didn't fall. She froze. Light burst from her body in all directions. A blinding flash consumed the shrine, the warriors, the trees, even the sky held its breath. And then, silence. When the light faded, Nzina stood completely still, no longer flesh, no longer scale. A statue of gold, frozen mid-reach, crown hovering just an inch above her brow. The warriors backed away, terrified. From the stillness came a voice, soft and echoing like wind through a cave. "Only love born of truth shall break this stone." And then, nothing. The warriors fled in silence, leaving only footprints and fear behind. Tari stood, alone, before the golden queen who once kissed him, once bled beside him, once dreamed of sharing power and peace. He fell to his knees. "I should have stopped them. I should have protected you." The shrine, now quiet again, paused gently with sorrow. Years passed. The village of Ojomba slowly healed, though it never forgot. Children were told not to wander into the jungle. Songs were written about the Queen of Lies. The serpent stories twisted into bedtime warnings. But no one told of Tari, the hunter who vanished into the forest the night the shrine lit up like the sky. Because Tari never returned. He remained in the jungle, a hermit of legend, guardian of the shrine. He built a small hut nearby. Planted flowers around the golden statue. Spoke to it like a lover long gone but never forgotten. Every day, he waited. And every night, he whispered, "I'm sorry." Decades later, the jungle reclaimed what time had forgotten. Trees grew thicker. Paths were lost. But the shrine still stood, untouched, glowing faintly under moonlight. And one day, a traveler arrived. A young woman, dressed in rags but walking like a queen. She had no map. No guide. Just a dream she couldn't explain, of green eyes and gold light and a whisper in the dark calling her name. She stepped into the clearing, eyes wide. "This place, it feels like I've been here before." The golden statue stood before her, unchanged. Her breath caught in her throat. And then, the statue whispered, a single word, soft as morning mist. "Eo." The girl's eyes widened. She stepped forward, hand trembling. The shrine paused once. A faint crack formed across the statue's golden cheek. And somewhere, far beneath the earth, a heartbeat began again.